Hey guys, it's Nickman98 here, commentating once again over some video which just happens to be Need for Speed World, the free-to-play racing game that is free, because it's free to play. Yeah, the game in the background though is going to be Need for Speed though. I switched between, I think my first game I was playing a little bit of Solo Pursuit, which is where cops chase after you, and if they stop you, then you lose. If you get away from them, then you win. So that'd be the first part. The second part, I believe it was me in a public race, and then me in a single player race, which isn't really a dedicated single player. It's more of like you can do the same event you could do on multiplayer by yourself with a bunch of bots. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Now, no, it's not it for the commentary. Don't think you're getting off that easily. As you can tell from the title, most of this is going to be talking about racing game, the genre, in my opinion, and where I think it is today and where I really want it to be. Now, obviously, it's not going to be all in the title, but you kind of get the basic idea, hopefully. Now, when you think of racing games, usually two games come into mind depending on PC and console. PC people, I think for the most part, I mean, I can't obviously back this because a lot of my friends aren't racing game fans like me. They'll say Dirt. I mean, like, Dirt is like a rally car racing game, and the only reason they probably think of it is because on the Steam store where pretty much everybody gets their games, that's like one of the first racing games that pops up every time. And then console players mostly think of Need for Speed games because they're pretty much the only big franchise that continually releases racing games that are pretty popular. I mean, there is other people like Gran Turismo and F1, I believe, is another one. A couple other ones that release, but they're semi-regular. Like sometimes they can be a couple years in between. And the reason I want to make this commentary is because I really wish the racing genre was heading a different direction, because all we really have to choose from is either Need for Speed or simulators. Or really bad racing games as the leftover category. You might be like, what are you talking about? Let me tell you a story. So when I was a wee little Nick getting into gaming, I had a PS2. And, well, my dad actually had a PS2, and then I ended up, playing it because we had it. And Burnout 3 is one of the games we had, which is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite game of all time. It was an amazing, well-polished, perfectly done game that should still be making more. But the only reason it's not making more is mostly due to Burnout Paradise, because but that's a different story. Anyway, so it was an amazing game. Burnout 1 and 2 are kind of discovering where the franchise is heading. Burnout 3 perfected it. It was essentially a racing game where there's a good amount of cars to choose through, and you go through different series of cars to do different events. And you do the career mode, and you just do event after event. And there was like, time trials, stuff like that. There was standard racing, but they had a main focus on crashing your opponent, and that would have like essentially a kill cam type of thing, saying the type of crash you did. You can do signature crashes, and it was pretty awesome. But also you feel a sense of speed, racing, intenseness, and you could get really into that game. And that's another cool mode, which is not really what I want to talk about, but it is a pretty cool mode. It's where you essentially try to crash your car and do the most damage possible, and that's pretty cool, but it's not what I'm talking about. So I think that type of game was amazing. Then after that, like, they had Burnout Revenge, which is essentially the same thing, but updated graphics, and it was laid out a little bit differently. Wasn't as good in my opinion, but I did like the tracks on that, but I personally preferred Burnout 3 in almost all aspects. And then after that, Burnout Paradise. Now that one, they partnered with the people that made Need for Speed for that one, and it felt like a Need for Speed game with a couple of Burnouts features in it, but it was not a genuine Burnout game. And then after that, they didn't release anymore, and that was the only Burnout game that made it onto consoles, which really sucks. I mean, Burnout games are amazing. Other good racing games, Freak Style, which is on the PS2, which had a really amazing trick system while you did tricks on your motorcycle and stuff, and that's the main focus of that game. And that's another thing I would really like to see in a racing genre, more trick-based games. And then on PS3 they had Pure, which is pretty cool. It's essentially the same thing as Freak Style, but on ATVs, and not as well perfected in the racing aspect, in my opinion. And then there was also Split Second was one where like it was based on triggering effects in the map. And like I'm saying, I'm just listing games that are good games and all. Really fun racing games. Now, the genre today feels too much of constant racing simulator, racing simulator, racing simulator. That is what the genre today is. What I want for the genre today, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you agree, will be games like Burnout, because those games were intense. Like, you felt competitive, especially when you played split screen or something. But at the same time, you felt like you were having fun because it's like, cool, like I just crashed this guy. Or, hey, come here, I'm about to catch up behind you. You do your nitrous, you knock them out. And it gets really competitive, fun, and it's a just amazing time. It's a really fun game to play with friends. If you have a PS2 still, or I believe that it's on Xbox 360, I'm not sure. If it was on Xbox 360, it's actually for the original Xbox, but I think it's compatible with 360. And that's definitely a game you should get if you still have those consoles, which I'm probably going to start up playing gameplay because I can record my PS2 with my Game Capture HD. But, anyways, like I said, right now the racing genre is essentially sims. They're all racing sims for the most part. And then what's left is really bad racing games. Like cartoony, look at these little match cars race and all that. That's what it is. There's no genuinely good racing games or car-based racing games. I know there's like hovercraft ones and stuff. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. You don't feel the same sense of speed as when you're driving a car through streets and drifting and stuff. I'm looking for an arcadey racer. I think you guys have probably all played one before. I mean, they're pretty common, and then before shooters were the main thing. That's a thing that was pretty much in at the time. It was like a really good type of game. And I think that the future of the racing game genre is going to continue to be sim, because a lot of when you get a new PC, for example, and you want to get 3 monitors. When people have 3 monitors, one of the first things I think is racing simulators, and then besides that, then it would just be whatever you think of after that. But I mean, people always, whenever they get a powerful computer and 3 monitors, you think, oh, cool, they're playing a racing simulator, and to test out their graphics and all that. It's nice. But I want to see where we were back in the old community, where you could see regular races of burnouts and stuff like that, and which I would really like to see a remake of, and just have that style of game back in. That style of game was pretty awesome. Now, the closest games that there are, not many. There's not too many racing games that are released too often because they don't make as much money. I mean, I'm playing Need for Speed World, and that has a very small, it's small player base. It's not a huge player base at all. There's not too many events on there. It is very restricted in a way, and it's really heavily dependent on, hey, do you want to spend money on other cars so that way you can look cool and drive fast and maybe have a fun experience, but there's no one to show it off to because our player base is rapidly decreasing. And if it's not a simulator, there's not too many racing games, and the only other option would be Need for Speed, which is the closest we can get these days, which I think is a little bit sad because that type of racing game I think we can all relate to in a way, and it's a really type of fun racing game. But I think that's pretty much all I have to say about it. Sorry I didn't get a video up yesterday, and this will probably be going up early Saturday. And that's because I was sick, so I couldn't record for Thursday's video. And I'm recording this late at night. I'll probably fall asleep before I upload it while it's rendering. So sorry about that, but it'll be up. But at least I got it up. So that's pretty much it. So please rate, comment, subscribe. Tell me your opinions and your favorite racing game. And thanks for watching, and peace out.